everybody. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter with our good friends, the Canvascasters. This is our last live stream of the week, another crazy week of live streaming. And yes, I'm wearing sweats. Been done many times this week. Hopefully you are too. You're enjoying the time to work remotely. Quick introductions. Not that they need it. Marcus Painter and Eddie Small run the Canvascasters. I would categorize them as the unofficial, official blog post, not blog post, even podcast. Congratulations. You're now writing a blog as well.
Yeah. No.
So this is not only our live stream for Canvas LMS, but also episode 20 of the Canvascasters podcast. With that, I'm handing it right on over to Eddie and Marcus, and I'll jump back in as needed. Have fun, guys.
Thank you. What is up? Canvas Live here with the Canvascasters.
We're finally doing it.
Yeah, this is awesome. We are really, really excited. As Mark said, my name is Marcus Painter, and I'm here with my partner in crime, Eddie Small. Happy Friday. Educators worldwide have successfully completed another week of distance learning. So we just wanted to celebrate. So I was going to cue up some music, but, just right now, everybody take a second and just hear the beat drop. Just listen for it.
We don't. Oh, you went there.
I'm going there.
Okay. All right.
I feel like I better jump back in here before it gets crazier than we do.
No, hey, we're not playing. No music because we can't pay musical rights. So we're ready to go.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm mostly just worried about who's currently singing. Eddie, I thought I do that to you.
Absolutely not. I have one claim to fame. It is Spice Girls, If You Want to Be My Lover. That's the only song that I know by heart that I can get 100% on karaoke. So,
and it'll tug at your heartstrings.
It tugs. It really does.
That's why I was going to sing, because then that's me. That's my remix. That's my version. So nice. Copyright.
I like it. I liked it.
Travis, good to see you. Diana, good to see you. So today we're going to try to share some simple tips, tricks, and strategies that any Canvas user can implement immediately. On our podcast, we call the segment, What's in Your Canvas Backpack? And so when we have guests on the show, they share one of these sorts of things. These are go-to elements of the learning management system that, sometimes the best solution is right there under your nose and you just haven't discovered it yet. So these are all going to be quick, easy, quick hitting things that anybody can implement as soon as tomorrow in preparation for next week's next round of learning. So before we get into the backpacks, Eddie and I wanted to share some positives from this past week. So Eddie, what do you got?
It's really easy to pick a number of things that have happened over this week, but I want to share kind of a fun story. We had one of our individuals that I teach with at Central 9 Career Center has kind of been, and no fault to his own, his program is a little bit, and not necessarily, computer focused or computer related. It's a lot of hands-on. And he's always been the one that, needs a little bit of extra remediation when it comes to learning about technology, and he would admit that. And we had a meeting this week, and I hadn't seen him in probably a week and a half. So it's crazy how fast, my positivity story would be how crazy fast people adapt to their situation. Somebody had their mic unmuted in the meeting that we were having, the Google Meet Hangout. And it was really interesting to have him speak up, the first one to speak up and say, somebody's mic isn't muted. Can we go ahead and have that person, if you check, there's a little microphone icon in the bottom corner of your screen. You can click that. If it turns red, you'll be muted. Really like everyone to stay on mute. Like he was controlling and teaching technology in the meeting. And everybody's face was like, what is happening right now? And I just think it just shows it's a little bit of human condition, right? It's a little bit of opportunity, especially for me, that I can look back and say, here's some teachers that I think maybe I would at once get a little frustrated with when it comes to hey, if you just, if you dig in here, you might find something you like or something that you're interested in or something that will help you gain some time back or be a more efficient teacher. And to see him lead some of that tech talk, I was grinning from ear to ear. I was like, I might as well just retire, in the chat, and people were laughing and it was a good time. But, we always say, like, if he's the one that has to tell you, then, we've done a good thing. So that's my story of positivity from awesome. This past week.
That's awesome. That's, that empowering, right. That empowerment element that, we've always been passionate about. And that kind of just by complete accident segues right into what I wanted to share. So I got this email this week, and we all know in education, it's a thankless job. And we work so hard for our students. We work so hard for our fellow faculty members, staff members, and families and everybody. And we always sort of the inner circle of educators, we know when we get one of these emails, you stash it, right? Mm-hmm. I have saved it. I have flagged it. I have downloaded it. I have copied it and put it into my drive. Like, this is one of the keepers. And so I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to read a little bit of it because it speaks to a lot of different things. And it certainly made my day, and it may make my month, frankly. So this is one of the teachers at our high school, a math teacher, high school math teacher. And so this is after she and I had worked through some things. She says, "Hi, Marcus, just wanted to say thank you for helping me out with Flipgrid. I used it this week and have been really impressed by the results. I definitely feel like it helped me meet my goal of having the students think about the concept so that they could explain it instead of just giving an answer, which could potentially be looked up online. Not everyone has completed it yet. I have told them I will take it past the due date just whenever they have the time. But the ones that have done it already were awesome." So she came to me, and this is the classic coach story. Teacher comes to you and says, I have a vision. I know what the outcome what I want it to look like. I just don't know how to get there. And so that was exactly how this conversation started. I urged her, and then, of course, sort of coached her up a little bit on a tool we'll talk about a little bit later, Flipgrid, and shared how I thought that would accomplish what she was hoping for. And so she emailed me back with that, which was awesome. It also shows this teacher showing some flexibility, right? Because she said, "Hey, I'm accepting these. I'm being flexible on the due date." We've talked a lot. You see it on social media: compassion, flexibility, roll with the punches. So she's doing that. But then here at the end of the email is where it really got me all in the feels. So she says, "The upside to this time of being stuck at home is that I have been using the time to improve and increase my technology skills. Hopefully my teaching will improve because of this. Again, thank you." Absolutely. So that is so great. That's awesome. And that's what's happening everywhere. That's happening everywhere in all of your districts, all your universities, your elementaries, middle and high schools. It's all over the place. So it's really exciting stuff.
It's exciting for us. I think we are in the midst of, facilitating a lot of these things on the back end and doing things behind the scenes. But man, it's just crazy. I love scrolling through Twitter and seeing like all these cool things that are happening and people being creative, and it doesn't stop. And there's some things today that I didn't know about that people are putting in their backpacks as like, these are my go-to things. And I'm like, guess what? They're my go-to things now too, because I'm pulling them out.
Yes.
So yes. I love that. I talked about that very early on, the opportunity to create and be creative and really, by design now have to dig in and learn a little bit about this tool, which we are obviously super excited about. Let's jump into the backpack. What do you say?
Right. Let's do it.
So
we're going to start off with one of our favorite people. Before we do that, what up, Stevie? But we're going to start off with Princess KONA Jones at KONA R Jones. She works at Richland Community College in Illinois, and she shared with us, truthfully, she's been, kind of hot on the message students who for a long, long time.
Right.
She may have even talked about it in our episode with her. Actually, we had 2 episodes with KONA because she was so awesome.
Yeah.
But she's got a new angle on it here. She's talking, okay, let's go message students who, but let's do it through analytics, the new analytics in Canvas, which is sweet. So she says she appreciates being able to quickly see which students have and haven't viewed specific content, and then be able to message them a reminder.
Yeah. So the way this is going to work is we're going to overview, just to give some background, we're going to overview like what we found from the Canvas backpack. We'll kind of introduction that, and then we'll show you the tool to kind of demo it here on the live stream, which is awesome. So I get to take over the demo here, which is great. And we'll show you a little bit about what KONA is talking about. And this is a new thing for me. I did not know this existed. I thought the message student who thing was something that happened in the grade book or something that happened in Speed Grader, things like that. It is in the analytics tool, which I did not know. So
it's in all those places. It's just
right.
This is this is the way that I think a lot of people don't realize you can use that.
And I think it's going to be valuable. Sorry to catch you up there, Marcus. I think it's going to be valuable to a lot of teachers, like, because I'm getting emails. What do we do about the students that, because we can see they haven't logged in, like what's a good way to kind of group them together and message them together without having to manually see who's logged in, who hasn't logged in, who I've made contact with, who I haven't. And I think when you see this tool, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I can do this in analytics. Let's go. So
yeah,
I just opened up our staff toolbox. There's not any assignments in here or students in here, so it's really good to kind of show as a demo. But if you go over to the right-hand side of your course, you'll see new analytics. So if you click in to new analytics and that loads up, I like to do it from the weekly online activity. This is kind of what I demo for teachers. And then from here, you can message students who, which most of us are familiar with, and it's something we talked about on the last live stream that Marcus and I did. But it's right here under this tab, and I think this is the game changer because you can select students who did not view. Not only that, Marcus, you can select the resource that they didn't view. Right.
What?
So
what?
It's like, hey, what is happening? So it's like, all right, well, I've had teachers that haven't looked at this teaching during a level 3 event. Right. So here they are, all 43 of them. I can then message those people that did not view that activity. I can edit that list if I need to, if I know for a fact that so-and-so was going to get on it today, and I could get rid of their name. But I love this option that it gives you, like participated, didn't participate, who viewed or didn't view. Excellent way, kind of a game changer right here in analytics that I didn't think existed. So this was KONA's like kind of her Canvas backpack item that we always talk about message students who, but she was like, put that spin on it with analytics. And it's like the princess always brings the heat. And
she does. She does.
This was it. So this is a really cool tool we wanted to show you guys in KONA's Canvas backpack.
Yeah, and I do want to say one more thing before we move on. This is going to move quickly, but again, it'll all be recorded. One thing I noticed when I went in to my instance of Canvas, if you are looking in a course and you don't see new analytics up there in the upper right, it is a toggle on-off setting. So if you go to the course setting, if you go to the course settings and you click on the settings and then you view those, you'll see that there's a toggle to turn that on if it's not turned on automatically by your tech director or whatever. But I did have to turn mine on, and then boom, it was there. And I know a lot of schools, this is probably a bit controversial, but I know that some schools will spend some time doing, they basically base attendance on whether the student is logged into Canvas or maybe the amount of time. And so this would be, I think, if that's how they're doing attendance, if that's the route that your school or corporation or university is taking, this gives you a much more stable, accurate depiction, rather than just saying this kid logged in at this time and they were in here for 20 minutes. We don't know what they were doing for 20 minutes.
Right.
You can now see them within a course, see exactly what they did and didn't view. And then you could theoretically have a much better idea of what the student really is processing or not processing during distance learning. So really, really awesome.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, really cool. Want to say hi. Hildy is here. Hildy's here. Stevie, we saw Stevie's mind is blowing up as we speak, which is awesome. Corey, good to see you. There's somebody else I recognize. Beth is in the building.
Whoa, hey.
So yeah. Lisa, nice to see you.
That's good.
Virtually, but yeah, welcome. By all means, keep up the chat going there, because there's lots of conversation we're going to miss. So just chime in and share what you got.
Absolutely. Marcus, I was checking in the backpack. I think we've got a few more in here.
Well, dig right in.
More. Let me just see what I can pull out here. Okay, yeah, that one's good. Let's try that one.
Okay, great.
Shelly Smith, who is at PHS Library. It is PHS Tech _library on Twitter. Shelly is an Indiana native, Pike High School, and she thought that it might be a good idea to dig into a little bit of large scale communication. So this is Marcus's opportunity because he uses not only global announcements, building level course announcements, grade level course announcements, class of 2020, 2021, 2022. If you see his dashboard, it gets a little messy, but I understand why he's doing it. And Shelly brought up that this is kind of a game changer for them as they look to specifically send announcements to specific sets of students.
Exactly. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll take a look here. All right. All right. So how we looking there, Eddie?
Looks great.
Super duper.
Fantastic.
So I love the ability to, and now granted, I have this because I'm one of the Canvas admins for our corporation, and a lot of you guys are, but then the ability to use this tool, not only as a learning management system, but as a true fundamental and efficient communication tool, right? So in our district, we are Canvas users in grades 6 through 12 in our middle school and our high school. And so you can see here in the dashboard, I've got some silly stuff, but the main thing I wanted to show is our class of courses. And that has proven to be a really, really good way to accomplish a lot of the communication that needs to happen in a high school setting. So what happens pretty simply, we create a class of a graduation year, right? So we've got our freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. They're all populated into that class of course. That, of course, is just synced up at the beginning of the year from our student information system. Once that's done, then now myself, a couple other administrators, guidance at the high school, guidance counselors, all of us have access to as teacher roles within those courses. And so we communicate a lot of content there. This is also how we happen to do attendance in distance learning opportunities and inclement weather days that we have here in Indiana. So setting these types of courses up, so helpful to really drill down, to communicate with the groups of students or faculty that you really need to target information. So we've got class of classes. I've definitely heard of and seen where folks are talking about doing, grade levels, teams, like in a middle school setting where maybe you have, the 7th grade are teamed. You can do that there. And then certainly you could have guidance courses specifically. But I do think that there's just so much potential just in general communication using courses and then customizing to basically the end user that you want to be communicating with.
Right. It's clubs too, right? I know we have some interesting usages with our work ethic certificate courses at Central 9. So we allowed some of our counselors to create these subgroups or these classes and import those students in a location where they can easily collaborate with them. And it's just like you're just creating another platform, and they're already in that specific instance, so they're going to see that, which is awesome. So I love that, Marcus, and that's one of my favorites that you've shown me. And we talked about what's the best way to import those kids. Can you talk a little bit about that before we move on to the next one? Do you guys just import them at the beginning of the year? Is it a CSV, and then you import, like, because I imagine if you're a large school district, those class Fs classes can be pretty hefty.
Right. So we're not a large school district. And so what we generally do is at the beginning of the year is just synced with our student information system. For us, it's Skyward. And it's, done that way. And then it keeps those updated as students re-enroll or leave our district. It updates those courses through that. Another really easy thing to do there is simply to do self-enrollment. Which is nice. And so in that case, I know that a couple of times it was just more efficient for the guidance counselor to just copy that link and give it to the student who just enrolled and just say, here you go, put this in, go to this link, click it, and then, enroll in this course. And so we've got students too, who aren't full-time at our building, are actually enrolled at other schools and come to us for some career and tech stuff. And so those were instances where they didn't actually have our school email. They had their own school's email. And so we had to kind of manually enter those. But yeah, I mean, a student information system sync or self-enrollment, both have worked well.
Yeah, there's a comment here. Laura Stoffer says, my building is using roster classes and all our students in a grade level building to generate pairing codes for all our students. So that's an excellent way. I feel like it's probably one of the easiest ways for those that don't know. You can generate those pairing codes in Canvas and allow them to kind of roster themselves in that instance. So that's awesome. That's great. We're trying to do 3 or 4 things. We're showing these graphics. We're trying to communicate with people in the live chat. We definitely have a format we're trying to follow. So if it feels a little disjointed, it's because it is.
If it seems like they've allowed 2 crazy people to run a live event, it's because that's exactly what's happening right now.
And if you don't like it, contact Mark Booth at Canvas.
Right. We'll give.
You guys know I'm still listening, right?
No,
You know I'm right here.
Sorry.
I thought he was gone.
Continue.
Don't worry. We'll post his personal cell number at the end. No big deal.
Here's another question, Marcus, that came in. How often do you guys do these backpack sessions? We actually do them every episode. At the end of every episode, we ask our guests what's in their Canvas backpack, and they give us some really good stuff and things that we steal and take back to our instance, and things that we use as well. So let's jump back in.
Yes.
Mark, if you'd like to share my screen again, that would be amazing. He doesn't want to do anything for us anymore. He's like, I'm done.
Yeah, if it gets real quiet, we'll know that he just took a break.
Yeah. Right. All right, Marcus.
Yes,
Travis Thurston up.
Yes. So Travis was on the 18 episode 18, I think. Dr. Travis Thurston from Utah State University, and he sent in just this sort of. Again, this is a classic case of what's right under your nose.
Right.
But it's like sometimes it takes, and tech people know this. We talk about that. We joke about it. How, a teacher will come to me and ask me a question, and I will look at the same thing. I will do nothing at all, and then it'll magically get fixed. And they joke that like tech people have this power. The power is simply a different set of eyes.
Yeah. A
separate set of eyes on the same thing, multiple brains, and things get fixed. And I think this is a good example of that, because Travis is not talking about anything that a Canvas user hasn't done. He's talking about announcements, but announcements are underrated. Announcements is one of the underutilized features that can be leveraged as a powerful tool in so many meaningful ways. I definitely keep announcements in my Canvas backpack. And I love announcements. And I talked a little bit about it during
our last session when we talked about communication exclusively, but it is something that I'm constantly trying to do with our staff and really reach out to them. And I would also kind of let everybody know some of the things that we're doing at Central 9 is trying to enhance teachers' homepages by adding the recent announcements piece to that homepage. Under settings, you can do that at the bottom of your course details. You'll find the more options tab here. And then underneath that, you can show recent announcements on course homepage, and then you can decide how many announcements you'd like them to see, whether it's the last recent one or 10 to 15 recent Canvas announcements. We like to keep it at 3, sometimes 5. Some people do have 5 up there if they're making constant announcements. But we wanted our instructors to kind of be the place that they get with their students and say, this is what's coming up this week, or this is what you have to do. I love announcements just for the collaboration that it's allowed inside Canvas. And this is something we talked about last time when I built this staff toolbox page. I didn't expect anybody to get on here and start replying, but it also had unintended consequences, like my staff calling me a tool, right? So, which is okay. Like a little inside of the studio has been renovated. Marcus, I just realized that from February 26th. This is me and the closet view before. But yeah. Oh, yeah. My staff likes to call me a tool. So, and there's just fun things you can do. You can add the media recorder. You can do GIFs. And that's the way you pronounce that word. No fights, please. On
don't
add, we don't want to.
Do not add us.
Don't add us. It's GIF, and we both feel that way. So we just wanted to touch upon announcements again, because I think it's one of the key features that can be utilized right now in this, in the COVID learning process. But I think it's one of the, and like he said, when he said it, it was like, absolutely, this is one of the most underrated features, I feel like, that is utilized in Canvas, and that's announcements. And that's how we're utilizing it. And I would recommend, if you're not putting it on your homepage, to at least add that if you're not already being very detailed in your organization on what you want your kids to do that week or that day.
Yeah. And I love what Travis said there. He said his pro tip is to embed a video or podcast. And
right.
I love that. And that's one of those great things too, is that when you have a rich content editor in Canvas, you've got all sorts of tools there. And one of them is that media recorder. And that's what I was using. That's what I've used the last 2 weeks with my technology class. The very first thing I do is I go to media recorder after I've prepped in my mind what's the sort of the outline of the week or of the day. I get that outlined, and then I launch that thing and I record it. And then that way, again, and this is something I say to all my teachers in my district, let's trim the text instructions down, right? Let's trim the fat. Let's really scale that down, and then let's deliver our content with that video and audio as much as we can in small chunks. So I give them a 2, 3, 4 minute video that's just sort of an introduction to the content they're going to see below in that announcement. And so it's a really great tool. Just really leverage the announcements, because kids know notifications. Right? You know how that works,
Yep.
Hey, Eddie and Marcus, I know you're thinking, sir. Mark, we got to move this thing along, but I want to stop you real quick. There's a great comment here about from Senora Stein that I want you guys to take.
Okay.
Add images, and students can click on the images and take them to Oh, love it. Eddie, you want to do that, or you want me to do
that? Why don't you do it?
This kind of actually goes into a question, one of our Canvas backpack tools. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Yeah, take over.
And we'll see what we can come up with. All right. So basically, let's go. I'm going to go into a sandbox course here. I'll go with Drake as with his dance moves. And I'm going to go into an announcement. I mean, sandbox course is another thing that, we talk about a lot too. So I'm going to hit a new announcement. And I think the question probably, there's a couple elements to this. When you put an image in to something, I feel like it's a good way to make that announcement pop within that feed, within that stream. So that's one good thing to do. But then also just for visual learners, and I think this may be what the question might stem from is, our kindergarten 1, 2 grade levels. Sometimes you have to use an image to get students where they're going because they're not, fully reading yet. So I'm in an announcement here. Super simple. I'm just going to hit the image button here. So let me back up and show that again. There's an image button. I'm going to hit that. At that point, you've got some options. I'm going to go and find an image, and I'm going to just show what I do for our attendance.
And you can upload an image as well right there. You don't have to have it already uploaded in Canvas, right?
Yeah, if you wanted to add your image, you would just upload and do it there and then choose it. So I've selected my image, and I'm going to hit update or upload. And so here is our e-learning button, right? I wanted the e-learning attendance to be really obnoxious, basically, in their feed. So I wanted to make it a button instead of just a standard text-based announcement. So I took that and I put that in there. And then all you're going to do is basically make this a hyperlink, right? So I've clicked on my image. I'm going to hit the link button, the chain link button, and then I'm going to put a link in there. Could be whatever. I've seen elementary teachers use this. They'll put like a picture of a star. And the students know that when they click on the star, it takes them to star reading, for example, right? So I put the link in there. I hit insert link. Okay, so right now I'm good. What'll happen is the kid can click on that, and it will take them to whatever I've linked to. In the case of this, like I said, I use it for attendance. So the high school students click on it. It shoots them to a Google form where they mark themselves present, and they're good to go. The other thing that I'm getting ahead of, this is one of my tools in the toolkit, but while I've got this selected, right? So see how it's shaded. I've got that image selected. I'm going to hit Control K on a Windows or Chromebook, and Command K on a Mac. And it brings up this insert link, and I'm going to go to Target, and instead of none, I'm going to hit New Window and hit OK.
Ooh, that's a pro feature.
That's pro tips. Pro tips, folks. No, but the truth of it is, and again, I'm going to reference our younger users.
Right.
We don't want to cover, like, this is like rule. This has got to be in the top 10 of all LMS rules. Do not cover up your instance of Canvas when you're linking things, right? If you have a second grade student that clicks on something that you've provided, but it doesn't open in a separate tab, you're covering up their instance of the learning management system. And so then what do they have to do? They have to click back. And it gets really complicated. So by doing what I did, exactly. They get lost. They don't realize what's going on. So I made this announcement. I've hyperlinked that button, and I've made it so that it'll open up in a new tab. So then I can just hit save. And so then let's see, there we go. And so from the student perspective, they would come in here, they see that this is clickable, and they click, and I have no idea what this is going to go to. Whew. Okay. So I'm not going to lie, folks. That was a bold move, Cotton. That was a bold move by me just to throw a random Google link in there. So you can see, I'm honest. I'm a little relieved. But I think that's what we were looking to do there, is link that thing, make it clickable. And then the added touch is to make sure that thing opens in a new tab. The kid in this case would complete their attendance, submit it, and then they can close out that tab, and they can be right back in their Canvas instance.
And Mark, if you want to pull my screen up really quick, I can show, because Senior Stein came back in and said, how do I put that on my homepage? So we actually do that. And if you want to see it like on steroids, I created our interwebs page to basically be that, just clickable links to things like our employee leave request or hourly compensation, fundraising requests. So you can see that there are like a bunch of these. They look really good on mobile. They just allow our teachers to kind of scroll through, find what they're looking for, click it, and it will take them to that external link, which is really cool. Technology tickets and field trip manifests and requests. So anywhere that you have that rich content editor that Marcus was showing you in announcements, you can do in Pages and set that at your home page, which is what we've done here. So that's a great tip. I'm glad we got sidetracked on that one, because it kind of got into the Command K thing, but it's a great tip.
But and can we just take a moment and talk about how, like, Eddie's design right there? I mean, that page is hot, man. It really is.
Thank you to Canva.
Right, I was going to say, somebody knows how to use Canva.
We might bring up right now, Eddie, before I jump off. I mean, this comment really talks very carefully about your design skills from Sky, that I think really.
Read it close, Eddie.
You're the best tool ever. I also, the other comment I'm not really happy about on here, or that I'm a little nervous about, is from Beth, that says, I think all their podcasts should require video. No, there's a reason why we do audio podcasts.
Right.
This is face for radio.
Face for radio.
And I'm trying to figure out on Hildy's comment when she says trimming the fat. Was she talking about me leaving the stream now, or what was she talking about? I'm leaving, Hildy. With that, I'm offended.
And he's out. All right, Marcus, we got a few more of these and only a little bit of time left.
Hey, listen, we're on until Mark literally hangs up the call. All right, Mark's gonna have to kick us off of this. But next up, in truth, we'll get going here. But that was great. That's super helpful for a lot of folks there.
It is.
Great question. So next up is Aaron Provençal from Northeastern University. Up in Maine. I've never been there, but I just imagine that it's cloudy and cold all the time. And she talks about, and this was something that Eddie and I were like, wait, what? What? Assignment revisions in Calendar. Okay. Now, Calendar in itself, I think, is probably underutilized as is. But did you know you can make an assignment revision to due dates in Canvas Calendars tab? So Eddie, show us how that is done.
All right. So again, a new tool I didn't know existed. I have a due date set for this welding quiz assignment in my calendar. And again, your calendar tab is kind of on your global navigation over here to the left-hand side. I did not know this. Right now, I can click this. It's due April 22nd. I can click into it to edit it if I'd like. We'll just take a look at what that due date looks like for this demo. Due date April 22nd. There it is. But I didn't know that because that's now attached to the calendar, I can make a change to the due date by clicking, dragging. So it's click, drag, and hold. And my Mac is freaking out a little bit because I did that too long. But I can click and drag this assignment throughout my calendar and then plop it where I need it. So say I need to make a quick adjustment. Oh, I accidentally put that on the 23rd. I can go into calendar and just click, hold, and drag, and then move it over to the 24th. I can actually, edit that assignment right in here if I'd like, which is really nice to do. But the calendar does offer some features that I'll be honest with you, it's our first year using Canvas as a school. It is one of those things where I didn't know really existed, or I was like, what really is the thing that I need to be using? And calendar wasn't one that I directly go to. So this instance of actually physically going onto your calendar, moving them around. And Marcus, I don't have a lot of events set in here because I don't really work with students. Am I to assume that if I had, assignments in my staff tool belt, if I had assignments in small sandbox, like all my different courses, they would show up here? And I could manipulate all of them at the same time. That's like, that's pretty magical. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
it is. It's really cool. Yeah, it's really cool. And obviously there on the right side, you can see the list of calendars available to you, and you can toggle them on and off just like you would with a Google Calendar. So you can sort of trim down what content you're actually seeing. So it's super great. And I just love that. It's so easy. And so many fewer clicks, right? You go to the calendar, you drag it, boom, adjusted.
Yep.
As opposed to edit the assignment, scroll down, change the thing, typey, save, all that. So really a great tip from Aaron there. And I've already started using it. The minute I saw that, I was like, oh, let me do that. And absolutely, it's like, boom, done. Perfect.
And it's so interesting, the number of things that Canvas has that I think we get in our zone of using. And I think that's a little bit of what the backpack is. Like, these are the things I use all the time. But because we have so many people contributing to like the backpack, like it gets so big that there's like, oh, I didn't even know I could do that in Calendar. I'm going. You know, I'm gonna start using that immediately, like what you've done, because you've used Canvas for a long time. And I don't necessarily know if that's something you were using at all. So there's just so many little tweaks and tricks that I find from all these users, which is incredible. And we've got another one here from Jennifer Willis Nichols. She's JW Nichols on Twitter. Wentzville School District from Missouri. She says, let's talk about making the speed grader even speedier, right? So in Speed Grader, you can change your options under the cog to sort students' list by submission status. It makes life easier when students are submitting assignments at different times, and there is a benefit to teachers. Marcus, did you want to demo that, or do you want me to grab it and then we'll move on to the next one?
Hey, flip a coin. I can do it.
Okay, go for it.
Sharing my screen. Sharing my screen. We are live on the internet, aren't we?
Yeah, it's happening.
It's happening. All right. Let's see if I can. I'm going to have to go to a course with some folks. All right. I'm going to go here. Reference back to the using announcements and using communication. Anybody who gets to deal with state mandated testing, I build a course within Canvas for our teachers to retrain. So that's what this course is. I am going to go to, I can actually go to grades, and I don't know if I'm going to have anything that can show here, truthfully, but it should at least be able to show the setting itself.
Okay, yeah, you can go to assignments there in Speed Grader.
Yeah. So, so I'm going to click on Speed Grader, which again, another amazing, like, use it every day sort of tool.
Right.
And so you've got Speed Grader here, and then let's see the cog right here.
Cog, yep, under the cog.
You're going to go here, and you're going to hit on options, and then you can sort your students. So here's what I end up doing. This is another one that I'm going to be using this week when I'm grading and assessing the next round of distance learning from my tech class. Is I just go through ABC order. It defaults to alphabetical order. I just click through. And so I see a kid's work pop up. I assess that work. I click to the right and move on to the next kid. And so I end up clicking through all of these, empty turn-ins, especially if I'm starting grading early and it's not actually due yet. But here, if you go to that cog, you sort student list, and you can sort it by alphabetical, which already is the date they submitted the assignment, or submission status. Needs grading, not submitted, etc. And then you hit setting, save that setting.
Right.
And so in this case, it's not going to show anything any different. But I think what Jennifer's probably using, how she's probably using it, she's probably just bumping everybody who submitted to the front.
Yep.
So she can she can blow through all of those folks who have turned in their work so far. She's moved them all to sort of the front of the queue. She's assessing and giving them feedback, and she doesn't have to worry about clicking through any of the empty spots where kids haven't turned content in yet. Right.
Super useful feature.
Absolutely.
And I think it was one of the first things that was shown to me when I started using Canvas. I remember going to our NQ meeting and meeting with Amanda Kate. She was amazing. And she said, have you seen like this click the cog, and then you can, because I was like, my teachers are kind of complaining in Speed Grader, they have to click and choose and find who has a check mark. And she was like, oh, absolutely, click the cog. And I was like, oh, here we go. Thank you, Candy, for the kind words here. I love this. Mark, you can go do something else.
Hour nine of the Canvas webinar. Here we go.
The marathon Canvas backpack. I'm going to show really quick. Paul Towers' tool. Now, Paul was on our episode. He was episode 2 from October 9th. It's been that long. And we're celebrating episode 20 today with this. But he talked a lot about allowing students to edit a page And I never thought about it this way because I think we're always trying to be inside our controlled walled garden. And if I create a page, I don't want students getting in there and messing it up. But he talked about like having the ability to make that page editable by his students so that they can contribute to their own learning. And Marcus had some tips and tricks, but I just want to show you there is a setting when you create a page inside Canvas that you can allow students to edit that page. And you know, in my staff course here, I'm just going to go to pages. I'm going to view all pages. So I want to create one. I could probably change some settings here to allow that, but I'm just going to create a new page. And down here at the bottom where it says options, can edit this page role selection, it has an option to only teachers and students. And you can almost give them the to-do, right? And we can give them a due date. So I thought, man, this is almost like you have access to a Google Doc inside Canvas by default by selecting this. So Marcus, talk a little bit, because I know you were like, oh man, I would probably put together this, because when we get these in, we're like, I didn't even think about this. But talk a little bit about like what you talked about, what you might set up for your students.
Right. So Paul's talking, ultimately he's talking about, you know, students having some ownership, right? They're owning
Right.
what they're creating. If we're sort of crowdsourcing or divide and conquer, or the ed term would be sort of jigsaw activity here.
Yep.
There's so many ways to make this happen in a digital space. But what Paul's saying, which goes back to one of our great, you know, one of our themes really is, why not do all of the stuff right here in the learning management system? So we talked about, when we were looking at this earlier, Eddie and I were like, well, why not, you know, basically populate this page, put in a table, assign the table cells to students. So in my mind, and Eddie pointed this out, I hadn't gotten there yet. Eddie was quicker to figure out my brain's function. But he was like, so you're basically making a collaborative Google slide within a Canvas page. And I was like, yeah, I guess, yeah. But ultimately, that's what we're talking about here, is letting the students collaborate. You can basically structure that page a little bit. I mean, I think it might be a little bit messy to just have kids diving in and throwing in links to things and so forth. I like using a table within Canvas because it's a container, right? These cells are containers of content. So imagine making the page, setting the settings so that students can contribute and edit that page, and then telling them, all right, here's what I want you to do. I want every student to go out and locate a YouTube video and an article from a substantial, reputable source on the internet. And I want you to go out and find these. And then where you see your name, you're just going to drop in that content into this table. And then by the time we're done, the page is populated with content from everybody. And then boom, it's a page in the course. And now it's a resource. Now it's a resource that kids can use, and it's right there built into the LMS, as opposed to, again, being something that's linked out to, you know, an outside source of some kind.
Yeah. Paul, we love you, buddy. Hope everything's great across the pond over there in UK. But thank you for that tip, because again, our brains are kind of on this one track of these are the things that we know and do. And then when we come up with something like this that Paul pulls out of the backpack, it's like, this is what I need. Like these are those new and creative things that you don't maybe contextualize until you see. So thanks so much. There are two more things we want to show before we go, if we have time. And they're very quick. And Marcus already talked about one of them, but I thought maybe it would be a good idea that we talk a little bit about what's in our backpack. And Marcus talked about Control K, Command K, which is awesome. And we wanted to get into a little Flipgrid, but that we might have to save that one, honestly, because of time constraints. But Marcus, talk about the course link validator. I saw this come across my Twitter feed, and I was like, what? So can you show like what that looks like so that people out there can kind of get a sense on what the course link validator does?
Yeah. All right. So it's exactly what it sounds like. And so it's really great. Back up a step here. It's just super simple as an opportunity to check what's available, and whether you've linked everything properly, which is the tough part, right? And so let's see, I'm gonna go back a step. I think one thing that I hear a lot from teachers is that, oh, I put a link in to this thing and the kids say they can't see it, or it's broken, or they're getting this error or that error. And a lot of times, and I've seen this and I've done this, if you copy and paste a link, every once in a while you might get an extra space.
Yeah.
Somehow, accidentally. Things like that, things that are minor like that, when you're in the rush of putting something together, can really harsh sort of what you're doing, and cause an issue when dealing with kids. So
right.
The validation, the link validation is really cool, because it gives you the chance to check on those. And I don't know why I'm not seeing it. Where'd it go? I just ran it. Somebody in the chat's gonna be like, "Hey, moron, it's right there."
Hey, Marcus. Remember when we talked about being prepared for today's session?
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring you back to that.
I think it's remember when we talked about being silly? Here we go. It's in settings. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
So I'm in my class. This is I got all excited, guys. I'm sorry. So I'm in my testing course, which this is all teachers. This is all teachers that would be administrators for testing. And so I went to the course. I went to settings, and down here at the bottom, validate links in content. So with 2 or 3 clicks, I can check all of the links in a course. Like, imagine trying to fish through all of that.
Right.
And, especially if you've been using Canvas year after year after year, and you've got, course content that's sort of been built and developed. Right. Seems like it'd be terrible. But if I come here and I will tell you right now, I broke a link on purpose so that you would see something here. So I'm going to just come here, hit validate links in content, and it's going to run the validator, course link validator, and boom, show links to unpublished content. I have that turned on. Well, everything here is published, but it found one. There it is. Test administrator training video. That's the link that was broken. Right. So easy peasy. It will list all of the links. Hopefully there are none, but all of the links within that course content that are broken. And then you can then go back and fix those things. And it's like that security blanket, the same way I feel about student view. You want to go in and see what it looks like for the student. You go to student view. You want to make sure one last check before everything's published, run the course link validator, check and make sure everything's there the way you want it. And if it comes up empty, you're good. And if it comes up with an error, then you can find that thing pretty easily, click on it and fix it, which is just awesome.
Yeah, that's really good, Marcus. I love the link validator. I just wanted to go back. Marcus had a little bit of trouble there. And I don't know if you saw the comments because you were in the middle of the demo, but
was everyone yelling at me?
Miss Rogers 02 under settings, boom, roasted. Live demos, nothing works the way you want it. Travis Thurston, boom, roasted. Lisa, you got roasted. Look at it. Thank you, Mark, for putting all these up for him so he can take a look. But nothing ever works the way we want it to work. Does it? But that's fantastic and a great way. And that's another that will end with that it is great to do live demos, especially in front of teachers or in front of your colleagues, something not work correctly, because it shows it is okay to not be able to have all the answers. It's okay for it not to work the way it's going to, because you'll eventually find it from the thousands of people on the internet that will tell you how wrong you were. All right. Hey, guys, thank you so much for joining us. This is episode 20 of the Canvascasters podcast. Marcus, we did it.
Yes.
6-7 months ago, we said we'll just get to 20 episodes and then we'll quit. So we're announcing today that Marcus and I have retired from podcasting. No, I'm kidding. Lots of great stuff to come. Really good stuff to come. And Mark, thank you for letting us do this again. You have to still be here somewhere in that club. Yeah, there he is.
He's like, hang up already. I got to go eat lunch.
Quitting, everyone. We won't let them quit at this point. They're too valuable. So keep it up, everybody. Hey, look at all these nice comments coming in. They want to make sure that Marcus knows you're not a failure. He says, awesome. Thanks to all who contributed. Thank you. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Way to go, guys. Hope we can meet up. I mean, they're just going on and on. We've even got a Bravo here, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, hey.
Dominic.
Hey.
I love it, Dominic.
I like that, Dominic, for sure. Yeah, this thing is just going off the charts. So before their head gets too big, everybody, big round of applause wherever you're at for the Canvascasters. Big thank you. Go check out their podcast. Follow them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Friendster, wherever they are. Find them and follow them and give them a listen. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
See you.